welcome to this Halloween-themed, spooky, scary episode of the Big Brain Takes podcast. In today's episode, we're not going to be doing the regular ghouls and scary moments in anime, because everyone does that shit. Everyone at Halloween does something about spooky, scary shit. Instead, we're going to go off one of the most popular phrases at the Halloween season, the trick or treat, and focus specifically on the tricks. We're going to talk about our 5 each, probably, we may have some overlaps, but our 5 favorite tricksters in anime. So boys, who wants to start this shit off? I have no fucking care in the world who starts this off. I don't care.
One of you guys can start while I'm finishing this real quick, and then I'll piggyback off of you.
Awesome.
All right then. So
Yes,
I'll go ahead and start us off. The first trickster I have in mind is a very popular female character in a very niche anime. She goes by the name of Kurumi Tokisaki from Data Live.
Garbage.
Some people may think it's garbage. Others may think it's enjoyable. Again, depend on the person. So pretty much like Kurumi, she's basically like, for context, she wants to eat the main character. Yeah, you can take that for what you will, but it's more of a like absorption kind of thing instead of just literally like devouring him. And like every now and then she would like tend to help him out with certain situations, but then at the same time you're wondering when is she literally gonna like try to do what she says she's gonna do. Like she mentions it numerous times, like she's gonna eat Shido. That's his name, by the way. And just like, but we never see her do it. But we know that's something she eventually wants to do. But every now and then, like, she will end up falling in love with him to an extent. I say that for a reason.
To an extent. Let's go. To an extent. His catchphrase, bro.
Let's see. Here's the thing. She would want to like every now and then the Kurumi you see would not be that Kurumi, because like Kurumi is able to live longer. She's kind of immortal because like she's able to like send her past self to the present. Yes, people. She has time manipulation. So, Pog or whatever, right?
Oh.
Now, other than that, so I'm just gonna move away from Kurumi for a bit because like she is a lot to talk about, but I also have like more people I want to bring up. Frieza, but particularly like in Dragon Ball Super. Like for context, like everybody should know who Frieza is for those who've seen Dragon Ball Z mostly. Main villain for Goku. So pretty much in Super, he's a candidate for determinant of power. So pretty much what that's about, they like Goku has to like gather fighters from around the world or in his universe, so like they can fight for this tournament for pretty much the reason that he pretty much risks their universe's lives. So if they lose, the universe gets erased. So Goku thought of, hey, let's bring Frieza, and everybody was not agreeing with this because like Frieza is like one of the baddest dudes in Dragon Ball. Because like when you hear Frieza's name, they just like why. So pretty much Frieza participates in the tournament. But for the sole reason, like, you don't know how much Frieza hates Goku. He hates him to where, like, he thought of images of, like, literally stabbing him in the back or shoving his hand through his chest or throwing the death beam or choking him to death. But in Tournament of Power comes around, like, we would think that Frieza is going to, like, turn traitor against his own universe. But we never see that. But there's this one movement in the Tournament of Power to where, like, oh, he finally showed his true colors. He actually did something to Goku, but in actuality, it was something that Goku had no control of. He pretty much hurt himself in that situation. But at the end, Frieza, he really like pulled it out for the team because we really thought that Frieza was gonna like turn traitor. Like you really don't know what Frieza's gonna do. Like he'll either kill you or keep you alive. However, like if he sees you being useful to him. I only have like 3 I can think of for now. So like I want to bring up like Kabuto from Naruto.
Don't feel the need to rush, by the way. We've got like an hour and a half of this shit, so space them out. You're good.
It's just that I just know like I don't want to take everybody else's turn. Like,
bro, don't worry. It's gonna. I thought we were gonna go one back and forth each. That's what I assumed going into this. We were gonna go one forth back and forth.
See, I didn't know that. Otherwise, like
they're all good.
Okay,
don't worry. So,
go?
I mean, so is there anything more you want to say about Kurumi? You kind of like brushed over her, and I know you like that character.
I honestly kind of did. I feel bad for her.
Go on about your Kurumi. Go on about your cute blackhead waifu.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about spoilers here with that one.
That's the thing. Nobody really not everybody's gonna really check out Data Live like that. So the thing with Kurumi, like I mentioned, her whole thing is like she wanted to devour Shido, and the reason she's doing this because like Shido has a power that she's invested into. And so Shido's power basically like so far that I know of anyway, is that he's able to like to seal a spirit's power just by literally kissing them. So she wants that for whatever reason she wants it. She wants it by devouring him. I don't know what other method she could have used. So the whole thing with her, is just basically like, yeah, she wants to do that, but she helps out Shido to where like you question her, like, what do you really want? And like she will often tell you that she will often tell you that she like she wants him, but at the same time you raise your eyebrows like, yeah, sure, I don't think that. I don't think that's what you really want. But then like again, her whole gimmick is like I said, she has time powers to a way where like she can stop time, she can travel back in time or forward in time, however it works. Either way it go, like there'll be a version of her in that universe, or she's able to communicate with that person with who she sends to the present, or she might not present, the future or the past. She can go there herself if she chooses to. The way she does this is by her angel Zafkiel. It's literally a gun, and like every time she calls out the ability, like a giant clock appears behind her. And then for her to activate this ability, she literally shoots herself in the head, or she shoots at the target she's trying to attack.
Bro, it's like that bitch from the Code Geass movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It's like whenever like the spirits summon an angel in Data Lie, like me and a friend, we would like make fun of it and just call them their bankais, because like they have like or a shikai ability, because like they have a certain ability, they have the weapon, and they might have another ability where their weapons were changed or their appearance would change, which is I want to say bizarre, but it's not really bizarre.
Right.
Yeah, it's just something they do.
Tell us how tricky this bitch is. This is the ultimate tricksters in anime. Let's hear how this bitch is tricky. How she gets under people's skin. How she does what she does. How she devours that man. Hey yo.
She's very playful. She gets really close to you, and she really she plays with her food a bit too much,
bro.
So yeah, she's very seductive. And yes.
Oh my god.
Look, she's very seductive to the way like you will let your guard down around her. So I was
paying course, you know what I'm saying?
So for some people, for the people that like Kurumi, they would like intentionally let their guard down. But at the same time, it's like, why would you? Like for example, she pulled up on these three guys, unfortunately, and they thinking like, oh, she's a hot chick, easy to score. You know, let's get her around the corner. And at the same time, it's like Kermit is like, "Oh, you made a terrible mistake." They say, you know, their bodies are mutilated.
Oh. You know, I really thought Date Alive was like rom-com with some kind of
with some etching here and there.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't expect it to be people actually.
I mean, I do like Kurumi's design. She is Kurumi. Is it Kurumi with an I or Kurumi with a U?
With the U.
It's Kurumi.
No, it's a U.
Okay.
Yeah, the I's at the end.
Okay.
Kurumi.
She's got a good design. She's pretty attractive, so I may give Date Alive a shot.
I like her design. Red and black really do clash on her.
Yeah, my experience with Date Alive was I did download. I think they had a mobile game. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, they do.
Okay, so I did download that game, but of course it made me turn my phone sideways, so I uninstalled it.
Bruh, we need to talk about this. This man has a phobia of horizontal mobile games. I don't know what it is. I'm the complete opposite. I can't stand vertical fucking mobile games, bro. I can't stand that shit. I hate vertical mobile games.
I gotta hold that face up.
I want that horizontal, bro. I want that shit horizontal.
I downloaded
horizontal's way better.
Today I downloaded Pokemon Masters. That circle was vertical. Love it first sight.
Bro, he downloaded Bleach Brave Souls. That shit's horizontal? I don't know, man.
Garbage. I gotta go.
Bleach Brave Souls is better than Pokemon Masters, though. That's all I'm gonna say.
My man's like, I'm not trying to put my phone.
I do like me that Pokemon Masters, though. That Pokemon Masters is spicy, but
yeah. Pokemon Masters is still. I want to stay on Tricksters, but I will say Pokemon Masters is still trying to get its way to being a full experience. But they've been making great strides. I think they got a little more time left in them, and they'll be there. But I know for a fact Bleach Brave Souls.
Bleach Brave Souls, yes.
Bleach Brave Souls is a pile of garbage. It's a pile of garbage.
It makes that money though. It makes that money. That's why we got Bleach season or Bleach 1000-Year Blood War arc coming in the anime. That's the sole reason.
I don't care what anyone says. Brave Souls is like the sole reason, man. That shit, they realize those Blood War units bring him the money. And they're like, damn, bro. Damn, bro.
But obviously, I can't speak to Kurumi Crimson, but I am glad that you mentioned Frieza. It's one that I thought about putting on my list, but honestly, when I woke up this morning, we must have been on the same page. I was thinking to myself, Crimson's going to put Frieza on his list. I could feel it. But I was thinking that Frieza was definitely a very interesting trickster character, especially in Super, because you're thinking the whole time during the Tournament of Power, what side is Frieza going to take? Is
Exactly.
he going to betray them? Is he actually going to fight with them? Is he actually just going to obviously do the more practical thing and help them win so he gets his own reward, which would be being brought back to life, which is what I assumed. But if Frieza could find a way to take down everyone but himself, he would definitely do it. So what I liked about Frieza was that he always had this kind of cocky and trickster demeanor throughout the Tournament of Power, and it added that wild card feature, which I really liked. I don't think I've liked Frieza more than I did in Dragon Ball Super, especially in that arc. Resurrection F was fine, but
it was
but the Tournament of Power just really solidified Frieza. I loved Frieza for the first time as much as I do now in Dragon Ball history, and I always remember super fondly for that. Just that trickster element he brought, even when he's helping people fight. He's doing his little death beam and torturing Topo. Yeah, Topo.
Yeah.
He's just kind of
it was Topo
on him. I mean, it backfires on him, and it was funny. But I loved it. And I loved how he betrayed Frost, who was, of course, one of his people, quote unquote. I like using that phrase, even though from a universe.
One of my people.
One of my people. So Frieza for the Tournament of Power was kind of one of my goats. And of course, I know we're talking more about his trickster aspect, but I just loved the finale with Goku and Frieza teaming up.
That was great. Yeah. I love that
along
moment.
with Android 17, because it was all of Goku's enemies teaming up with him.
Exactly. I know you're a sucker for that.
I'm a sucker for it. I thought
I was a sucker for it too. That was the one of the most epic things I've seen in anime throughout that entire year. It was beautiful. It was great.
But going off that trickster element, I just thought Frieza added that really cool element to the Tournament of Power that I really enjoyed. So I was glad Frieza was on the list. Yeah, I was glad.
In the Tournament of Power, he was just on vacation having fun.
Oh yeah, for real. Because
he was really having fun, just torturing everybody. Like if there's a Saiyan around, he's like, ooh.
Right,
time to kick
because
him
at
out.
the end of the day, like you said, Gengar, he really was on vacation because he's either going to return back. Well, actually, if they lose,
I just want to say, saw someone in the chat. What up, Mad Kaiser? What's up, my guy? I see you in that chat.
What's up, Kaiser?
Good friend, good member of the community. Check him out if you see his stuff. Good YouTuber. I mean, I'm not sure if he makes stuff as much nowadays, but good content, like the guy.
I'll tell you, Kaiser's Twitter is fire. I retweet so much of his stuff, man.
He retweets good art. That's all. I'll say that. He retweets good art.
The fellow Tales of fan, I appreciate it.
We need to get this man into Danganronpa, bro, and then I'll play that Tales of game he bought me. Chad shit, good shit.
Oh, he would love Danganronpa. So.
Who's this? Bendigo? What the?
I told him, but
surprise guest.
Surprise guest.
So much for that surprise.
Yeah, he really.
I guess he is trying to be a trickster, but he failed.
Yeah,
he ding dong ditched us, man. What else would you do on Halloween, right? But yeah, that's all my thoughts on Frieza. A really cool character, especially in Tournament of Power. Very trickster-like character.
Oh yeah, he's also great in the Broly movie.
Oh yeah,
like Dad died by a stray beam.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
I can't even say it because I'm thinking of the meme version of that. I don't think I can say it. I don't think I can say it live.
Yeah, I've seen the meme where they kind of showed that face of Frieza, and he's like, "Mom, my brother took all the milk, or started the fight, or whatever."
Bruh, there's a different one I've seen of that, but I don't think I can say the entire thing live because stuff.
Oh yeah. You keep it straight.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't get canceled yet. We just started. Oh no, Sam.
Shoot, what do you mean? We should exactly.
Fire Emblem Three Houses, bro. I did a tier list of that. I need to send that Kaiser's way. I did.
Man, them 3 houses.
Some of them characters though: Byleth, Hilda, Edelgard. Ho 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 ho! Please let me fucking sip.
Right.
Got some good waifus. That's got some good waifus. Hey, what up, special tricky guest? What's up, Yuto? What's up? But yes, going back to Tricksters, who wants to take it next? Who wants to take the next Trickster on the list? If no one else does, then I'll take it. Because I've got 5.
I can go after you.
I'm going to go with one of the guys.
Back off of one of yours.
Stinky podcast 4 out of 10, then it's alright. You don't have to be on another episode. You're officially let go. It's okay. You've officially been replaced.
Is that what you...
Wow.
Okay.
We'll replace you with,
I almost said something, but I'm glad I didn't.
I know exactly what I was going to say, but I'm not going to say that shit on the podcast.
I think we're about to say...
I think we're both on the same level, bro. I think we're both on a spiritual level together.
We're usually in sync, so I know what you were going to say.
But I'm going to talk about, firstly, the guy who actually inspired me of this idea. We've been rewatching Durarara recently, and my guy, Izaya Orihara. My guy, Izaya Orihara. What a fucking bitch. I'm not going to say too much, because I definitely want Forte and Crimson to watch that Durarara. But Izaya is just... Man, you like Izaya, right?
I don't know. Izaya is he'd be on my list too. Yeah.
Izaya is just the walking, talking definition of the jester archetype. The jester archetype of character that sits from the sidelines and messes with everything for nothing more than their entertainment. Izaya is a smug, conceited, psychotic fuck who views the world in such an interesting lens. It's genuinely, I love Izaya. Shizuo's great, but Izaya is my goat. Izaya is my goat. Everything about him, from his voice performances in both English and Japanese, Hiroshi Kamiya and Johnny Young Bosch, both goats, to his demeanor, his design, his personality, everything about it. And when you see how everything in this show, because the theme of Durarara is that it's all these separate people with these very separate and very starkly different lives that all manage to constantly overlap and connect with each other in this city. And the city is essentially the main character. And as you reveal more and more how Izai is behind so much of this stuff with his tricky personality and leading people like Shizuo down to do his dirty work without even realizing it, just God. I could gush about Izaya all day. I adore him. He is absolutely Chad, top 10 antagonist, and definitely a top 5 trickster.
Sure. Yeah, I remember you telling me that you thought this would be my favorite character, so I am interested.
No questions asked. No questions asked.
He is the character we have on our thumbnail, right?
Oh,
yeah. Yes.
I like his design quite a bit. Like, I can already tell what kind of character he is just by his demeanor, so I'm excited for that.
I love Izaya so much.
I would have gushed about him too, but you pretty much said everything.
Yep, Izaya is just GOAT. Absolute fucking GOAT. GOAT.
Sir.
So who's going to take next? Forte? Joshua? Go on.
Yeah, I can go ahead and take it. I'll just start with this character because this character came to me in the night almost. No pun intended. But recently, Black Clover, I believe our most recent villain before the filler arc we're currently in, which I've obviously not been watching. I'm just waiting for us to get out of the filler. But his name is literally the devil. So with a name like that, I obviously have to include him in this podcast. But he's a very interesting character. He's my favorite villain that we've had in Black Clover so far. And the reason for this is because, number one, I don't think I've ever seen a character in anime just have the name the devil. And I memed on it quite a bit. I know Yuto was there when I did that. But he's actually a genuinely interesting character and a very tricky character. Because while he's the main villain, and I won't spoil too much about his motivations and his backstory, he's actually super broken. But he just toys with his food, as Crimson described Kurumi as well. He has this magic called word soul magic, I believe was the translation in the sub. And basically whatever he says kind of almost comes to reality. And he's just pretty much just memeing on everyone. And he has this very interesting demeanor where he has kind of a flamboyant personality, but he's also very evil and very creepy. I just really like the way he was portrayed. Sam, he's actually voiced by Shikamaru's VA.
Oh, that's cool. I like Shikamaru.
Yeah, and I was so surprised that Shikamaru's VA can nail down creepy and evil really well.
I like Shikamaru. He's probably one of my favorite characters in Naruto. Even if I'm not the biggest fan of Naruto, I do like my boy Shikamaru. Shikamaru is a good guy. Yeah. I like Shikamaru.
His VA does a great job with this character, the devil, as well. I like the way he is portrayed, and I like the way that actually he's pretty much just a mad prankster. Without spoiling too much, he's able to make this... I don't know what the timeline is. Gengar or Crimson can probably correct me, but it was like thousands of years 1,000-year plan where he was basically getting two factions to fight one another so that he could just swoop in and become all-powerful, basically. It's a little deeper than that, but I'm just kind of brushing the surface to avoid spoilers. And he pretty much just trolls everyone with his word soul magic, and he does it in a way that's almost torturous, and I like the way that they portrayed him in that aspect. But even in a lesser trickster aspect, I like the way that even though he's so OP, the anime Black Clover has this weird thing they do with Asta and other characters where they're not necessarily super OP. It just so happens that because of their powers, they are able to defeat him. And the way they did it was really I like the way they did it. It wasn't your typical form of plot armor. It was more so that I'm a direct counter to you, which was really nice. This isn't much of a spoiler either, but the cool thing about the devil is he also comes from a different dimension, is what I will say. And that's not a huge spoiler, but I just like the way they handled his archetype. I wish I could say more, but everything's spoilers.
If you want to say a bit more, go ahead. We
No,
don't.
I'm caught up with Black Clover, but like, you don't got
Oh, yeah, same. I mean, you're not spoiling anyone here, except Sam, which he doesn't care.
Okay, I was just worried more about Sam. But yeah, he pretty much just is just a prank bro to the human race and gets them to destroy another race, and then gets that race that is destroyed to be reincarnated to once again destroy the human race so that he can swoop in and take a book. and that's like the most generic way. But obviously this is a very powerful book.
Do you think I'll like this character? You think I'll like this character, Forte?
Oh yeah, I think you would. I honestly think you would like the devil. He's obviously not the. I know, right? That's another thing that's so interesting about the character. Like his name is the devil. I think he has a legitimate name, but we never explore it because he's. Spoiler alert! Not the final antagonist of the series.
Yeah.
So, but he's a freaking meme lord. He's hilarious, and he does a certain thing that a lot of characters on my list do. I think I have. Well, I guess just two other characters on my list do. The thing I find really creepy in anime and any show is when you have body snatching. When you have people's souls entering other bodies and they're either pretending to be them or using their bodies to torture their opponent or make them not want to attack or fight to their fullest, etc., etc. I really like it in anime and other forms of media when they do that. I think it's really creepy. It's really unnerving. And he does do that very briefly. Now, he does it to trick someone and to trick people, and he does it in more of like this meme-y sort of way. But it's also legitimately very evil and an important part of his plan. He's also one of those villains that stays in the background and kind of has been overlooking how things would progress for thousands of years. I like when they do that.
Oh, like Kaguya.
I was going to say that. Obviously, those of you who've seen Shippuden, which is everyone here but Crimson, he's a better done version of a certain character. That's not
wait. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so
I'm pretty sure Nuxu did a video tell just that.
Yeah, Nux did do a video talking about the devil, and he called it was his OP done right video. And I didn't watch it today, but I watched it a long time ago, and I very much enjoyed the video. I thought he made some good points, and I also really like the devil. God, it sounds so terrible.
Same,
but,
bro. The devil's he's such a cool guy, bro. The devil's
yeah,
such a cool guy.
What a great guy. Really got the short end of the stick there. But yeah, that's my character. I like the devil from Black Clover. Very cool guy.
Hit us with one, Matt. Hit us with one of your tricksters.
Well, going to Bleach for a second, I have Gin Ichimaru.
Hey, yo!
Okay, there we go.
He's in the background. He's kind of just like trolling both sides. And I'm just thinking a scene on a bridge where he goes to Ruki and says,
Yep, I was about to say. Yep, that's
it's like, hey, I can save you. Just kidding.
Sight! Bro, I love Gin. Gin is top 5 characters in Bleach. One of my favorite characters in anime.
Yeah, they put the show trope. He did something Rose can learn from. He lied about his powers.
That is a big thing. Gin lied about his powers, which saved him mostly. And obviously, we've all seen Bleach, so I'm not going to avoid Bleach spoilers. That twist at the end with Aizen, bro. I think most people saw it coming, but still, he got he got on Aizen, and then Aizen was like, hey, yo, bro.
Yeah, Aizen broke a sweat for a little bit. But he was broken at that point, so it didn't matter.
I don't want to specifically say what all the big twist was, but when he got that twist on Aizen, bro, that shit was fire! Oh, I love Gin.
A funny thing about Gin,
I just realized Kai's is in the chat. I don't want him to get spoiled on Bleach, but
yeah.
Fair enough, but I don't want to have this entire podcast just not be talking at all about the characters. But guys,
I did like how I don't think this is a big spoiler, so I'll go ahead and say it. I did like how Gin sort of commented and predicted Aizen's defeat at the end, because Aizen pretty much flexed on. Now I forget the name, but obviously Ichigo is trapped in this like little cave thing.
Who did Aizen flex on?
He flexed on this.
You mean the remover, the remover, and the Don guy.
Yeah, the remover.
The cleaner.
The cleaner, that's what it was. I was thinking vacuum, and I was like, why am I thinking vacuum cleaner? The cleaner. So he flexes on the cleaner, and Gin's like, you really didn't have to do that. That was really unnecessary. And Aizen's like, yeah, you're probably right. and had he not done that, our main character would have still been in there. So
he would not have gotten as far ahead as he did.
Yeah, exactly. Now, of course, part of me kind of thinks Aizen, obviously, don't want to spoil, but I think Aizen knew what he was doing the whole time anyway. So, but I do like how Gin just constantly kind of comments on Aizen. I like Gin and Aizen's banter throughout Bleach. I love that.
I love that shit.
Yeah, Gin is very snarky, and he always comments on Aizen and why he's doing certain things, and I really enjoyed that. But
Gin's one of the only people in the world to actually understand Aizen at all.
Aizen, exactly. I was just about to say that's one that, well, except for one character up at the end. One character at the end did understand Aizen, but I won't say who.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's one of my favorite lines, and one of my favorite things about Aizen is right at the end. So I won't spoil that. And I also just like how Gin had, for the most part, obviously that deviates, but he has this permanent smile on his face all the time. Like, even his facial expressions are just a complete facade. He always seems like he's just being super cunning. He's always having a good time, always plotting something behind the scenes, which I guess he was, but he would just have that constant smile, which I thought was a perfect demeanor for his character.
I could talk about Gin all day and the psychology behind Gin, because I think Gin is a character that, when people talk about greatness in Bleach, I think a lot of people just brush over Gin, but I think Gin is one of the absolute strongest aspects of Bleach, and how the duality of him and Aizen, and how at the end of the day, the only person who truly, truly understood Aizen, there were two people. There was the absolute opposites in the person who understood him at the end, and Gin, and how the person, the big duality between them is that this is a person, the other person, I don't want to say their name, who understood Aizen was a person who they themselves had absolutely no mask, but was able to understand the person behind the mask, finally. But the person who understood the person behind the mask the most was the person who gave himself up to the mask the most, and was able to lose that duality and that clean cut between mask and reality. And that's why Gin is such a good character.
I also want to mention... Oh, go ahead, Sam.
I was just going to go on to my next one, because we were talking about Bleach. If you have something to say quickly...
I was just going to say something real quick. I also liked how Aizen comments to another character that's in a backstory arc saying, I was by your side the whole time and yet you never understood me. It's because you kept me close but also kept me far that you never really understood me. And that's like a perfect parallel to Gin and that other character. I feel like I'm talking in code, but you guys know what I'm talking.
I don't want to keep saying all this stuff because I want to actually talk about these characters, but...
Yeah, go for it.
Right.
It's a whole series. If you haven't seen it by this point, then...
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But you can go ahead. I just wanted to comment on that.
Since we're talking about Bleach, and we've mentioned him a lot, Sosuke motherfucking Aizen. Sosuke Aizen.
That's a fair choice. Yeah.
That is an absolute GOAT. I do not care what anyone says. So many people like Aizen was trash, Aizen sucked, Aizen lost his way. Bro, no. Aizen is an amazing character, was amazing from start to finish, made an absolutely godly entrance, and there is genuinely really, really good writing and a genuine tragedy behind this character that so many people ignore because of what Aizen presents to the viewer. Aizen is the walking, talking definition of the mask itself, and how he was constantly able to get the one-ups on everyone by simply tilting that mask into a different direction. The only people at the end who were able to ever get a read on him were Ichigo, Gin, and Urahara. And there were three very different people who had a very different connection to the concept of a mask itself. Kisuke himself had the mask, but was able to keep that very fine line between mask and reality. Gin was the person who had the mask, but wasn't able to keep that fine line between mask and reality, and the two synced into each other and eventually became one whole. And you had Ichigo, a person who didn't need to rely on a mask at all, and simply kept steadfast and just in his mindset and his viewing of the world and people and righteousness and just the concept of being good, that he was able to press through and be able to get behind the mask that Aizen wore. And then you have Aizen. A lot of people dislike Aizen. A lot of people think he was just overpowered and all this stuff. I could go on for hours about Aizen and the psychology behind this character. Aizen as a character at the end of the day was... Aizen formed his entire life based on lies and deceit and a constant layering of these two concepts. And the person that he ended up fooling most was, at the end of the day, himself. The person that became the most of a slave to Aizen's mask and was most fooled by that mask was Aizen. And that just proves how, I don't want to say how good of a trickster he is, but how in-depth of a trickster he was. Aizen's entire goal was formed based on the constructs of society and his disdain with the constructs of said society. And now he was able to transform that into something, and the entire time, no one got the read on him simply due to the layers and layers of masks and deceit that he put on to everyone else in the world. His subordinates, the people that considered him a friend, the people that considered him a lieutenant, the people who considered him a member of their squad. Aizen is... I'm going to repeat this, the walking, talking definition of a mask. And now the tragedy of this character is that the character who, at the end, had Kyoka Suigetsu, what's the translated name of Kyoka Suigetsu? It's the Moon, Flower, Water Moon, or something like that. Moon, Flower, Water Moon. And there's, I could go on, I need to like actually find it, like, there's like this big thing that Kyoka Suigetsu and Tensa Zangetsu are based off in Japanese and Chinese mythology, about the man who looked into the reflection of the water, the reflection of the moon in the water, and got dragged in. And that is just that's the perfect way to summarize Sosuke Aizen. That is the perfect way to a person who was fooled by the reflection in the water's gaze and got dragged in and got completely turned into something that was never intended. What is it? Mirror Flower Water Moon? There we go. Mirror Flower Water Moon.
Yeah, Mirror Flower Water Moon.
And how the thing that defeated him in the end was the thing that defeated the hallucinating and fooling moon was the one streak of the moon shadow, the final Getsuga Tensho, the Mugetsu itself. And just all this thematic meaning and stuff. I'm not doing as much justice here because I'm just thinking off the top of my head. But Aizen, I feel that. This is about, even just as a trickster, Aizen, we all know the scene of when Aizen was with the Gote, since when were you under the impression I wasn't using my Kyoka Suigetsu? We all know that scene, man. That scene is...
Yeah, that was jaw-dropping.
His whole plan in the Soul Society arc, where he then revealed himself to be the final villain, encapsulating one of the greatest arcs in Shonen. Bro, Aizen is such an amazing, and I genuinely would say I wouldn't say necessarily underrated, I'd say an underviewed and overlooked antagonist, who gets very much held up because of his coolness and his badassery, but there is so much more to this character, and I don't want to go into spoilers about the 1,000-Year Blood War, but even if his development isn't necessarily 100% shown in your face, shoved in your face, the nuanced development is definitely there, and if you compare Aizen in Blood War to pre-Blood War, there are definitely noticeable differences, and they cap it all off in his final... And there are very noticeable differences if you think about it. And seeing how Aizen, the big thing about Aizen is that the person that he knew the least about in this world was himself. And being forced to come to terms with and finally accept and get to know himself when being trapped inside Muken truly changed Aizen as a person, was able to turn him into a much stronger person than he was before. Aizen, at the end of the day, was the last person to ever speak in Bleach. Aizen was the last person, other than Ichigo and Rukia's kids, to actually say anything in Bleach. Aizen's final quote in Bleach just pulls everything of that character together. The trickery, the deceit, the lies, the layers, the genuine heart that lies within that person. God, I love Aizen. I'm probably going to stop now because I could just ramble about Aizen all day. But
yeah, no, I feel you. I obviously have a character on my list that would take that up.
I adore Aizen. I absolutely adore Aizen. But who wants to take the next one? Who wants to take the next one of the great
Okay,
tricksters?
I guess I'll go again.
Okay, then.
Yeah, we've been talking about a lot of antagonists.
Fair enough.
Next one, I'll do Usopp for One Piece.
Hey,
Now-
Usopp.
Yeah. Now Usopp, he's this character's like normal level strength spread by all these monsters. So a lot of time he has to like actually step up, but to do that he just has to do trickery and like one of his main attacks he like busts out like a giant balloon hammer. It only works if they're afraid of the lie.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, that just.
Anything else? That ended abruptly.
Usopp is so good to watch, like actually see him go from coward to like actually great warrior. And speak of mass, he actually does have persona he puts on.
I know
try
about
to be
his
that great
persona.
warrior.
I don't know a massive amount about One Piece or Usopp, but this sounds like a cool character and sounds like a character I'd probably enjoy when we do get to One Piece. Probably should be a podcast or something. That'd be fun. That'd be really fun. But yes, do you have anything else to say about it? We're going to move on to our next trickster.
We're probably gonna move on.
God. Okay then. Who's going to take on the title of the next trickster? Krim? You want to go?
I would say that was like, did Forte ever go?
Forte, do you want to go?
I've done two. Sorry, Crimson, you've only done. Oh no, you've done two. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can go
Yeah,
ahead.
so it
And go.
don't matter. Like,
Forte, go next. Forte, go next.
Okay.
there you
All
go.
right. All right. So the more I hear you talk about Aizen, Sam, the more I really think you're gonna like Akechi from Persona 5, because obviously
Oh, boy.
he's on my list, and we have similar feelings when you talk about Aizen versus the feelings I talk about Akechi. I feel like Akechi is somewhat an undervalued character. He's a character that people have a lot of mixed opinions on. Some people love him to death, like me. Other people hate him. And then when you get to the love him to death people, it's kind of split in half. A lot of people like him because he's snarky, he's kind of a dick, right? He does all these really cool moments, and he's a perfect foil to the Phantom Thieves in that sense. They're all very happy-go-lucky, and he's just kind of an edgelord a lot of times, right? But what I feel like is he's very much more than that. Persona 5, sort of like Aizen's whole character, is all about wearing a mask. It's all about putting on a persona, hence the name of Persona 5. And I don't want to spoil this character for you, but what I will say is no one puts on a bigger persona than Goro Akechi. I'll tell you that much. Guy is definitely a trickster type character. There's even a certain aspect of him, which I won't spoil, which is literally a trickster. I could not make this up. So that's what I'll leave at that. But he spends his whole life lying to others and attempting to manipulate others, so much so that he ends up being manipulated by every facet of life. He always sees himself as being on top and wants to be on top, but in reality,
Like Aizen.
Exactly. He's very similar to Aizen, which is why I know when you get to Persona, you're going to love Akechi. I don't know if he'll be your favorite character because we've always had this debate between Akechi and Nagito from Danganronpa. I obviously I would hope that you would love Akechi as much or more than Nagito, but I still haven't said for sure if you'll like him more or less. But either way, I do think he'll be a character you love because he's pretty much Aizen to a lesser degree. And what I mean by that is Aizen always had this kind of grandiose appearance to him. Akechi is very gritty, I feel like, is how I like to describe him. But the deal with Akechi is he spends his whole life trying to be accepted by others, and he very much also wants to manipulate others and have grand schemes and master plans. But in reality, he fools himself as to what he wants, and he also fools himself to how much he can accomplish and what he has accomplished. He's so good at lying and manipulating that, like Aizen, he lies and manipulates himself. He lies to himself. He creates personas for himself, one for the public and one for the private, and one for his darker side and his lighter side.
That sounds like Lelouch.
Yeah, in a way, he kind of is like Lelouch. The reason I differentiate him from Lelouch is the end goal of Lelouch, for the most part, is good. I mean, he has certain things he's trying to achieve, but everything was always for Nunnally, right? Goro Akechi has a very different...
Do you think I like him more than Lelouch?
Probably not. That would be and it's not so much that I think Goro Akechi is a lesser character than Lelouch, but I know you have this very special connection with Lelouch because of the way you watch Code Geass and the way you experience that show. I know you have a very special connection to Lelouch, which is fine. I love Goro Akechi. I have a very special connection to him for various reasons. Take this what you will, but I actually related to Goro Akechi a lot in my personal life, and that sounds weird, but at the on the surface type things. Obviously, I've never done the things that Goro Akechi has done.
Of course.
But for his motivations and what he wants to do, I related to it the most out of everyone in Persona. The way his feelings of inadequacy and his other feelings I related to more than anything. And I'm trying to just brush on the surface as to not spoil you. Where was I going to go? I had something else I was going to say. I could talk about Goro Akechi all night. But
next time we should write down dot points. Yeah. I think that would make these.
Yeah, we probably should.
Yeah, we should write down dot points. Well, we're all testing this out. There's the first one. I now have been inspired that I want to talk about Aizen again. I want to talk about Aizen again with actual dot points and a thought-out argument. But
yeah, I should have like my thesis statement for Akechi and then be ready to make my argument. Akechi is a great character. Basically, I love the way he's written. I love the way they present him in the story, and to me, the best thing about Akechi is when you explore the lives of the Phantom Thieves, any one of them, had their past been different, had they not met the right people, anyone can be Akechi. That's what Persona is constantly telling you. So I feel like a lot of the people who dislike Akechi miss a lot of the nuances with his character.
Same with Aizen, same with...
Exactly. And a lot of people that really love Akechi, like me, sometimes just love him because he is the epitome of a badass. I'm not going to say otherwise. He's amazing. He has all these really cool moments.
But there's so much more to him than just being a badass. But yes, I think I will love that Goro Akechi, and he sounds a lot like Aizen.
Very much so. I think he's written in a very similar manner, so I think you'll like that.
In general, as it seems to bug you just like it bugs me, I dislike it when... For two reasons. I dislike when people like Aizen or say that Aizen's just a badass, just as you probably think about Goro Akechi, and I dislike it when people just ignore all the nuance just to diss him. I think Aizen... I don't think Bleach is a perfect series at all. Don't think that. I think Bleach is like 7 out of 10 series, but it has some genuinely amazing characters. Aizen, Urahara, Ukiura, Kenpachi, Gin, Shunsui, Mayuri, Stark. Those are the ones that come to mind of like genuinely great characters in Bleach to me. I love those characters all to death.
Yeah, Kubo's really good at writing characters. I feel like I know he gets flack for the way he writes the story of Bleach, but I think his characters are really solid.
I remember I saw a YouTube comment a while ago, which I think sums it up perfectly. Someone said, if you ask me, Kubo's greatest strength was always creating characters with diverse viewpoints and beliefs and making everyone feel like an individual instead of simply some faceless supporting cast that simply exists to serve the main character's needs and nothing more. They all had their own reason to fight, and it doesn't just involve being, oh, I'm a soldier, that means I have to. Sure, some could fall into that category, but each had their own flavor to it. That is the best way I've ever heard anyone describe Bleach's writing and Bleach's characters, and I'm going to just say that. I think that's where Bleach's strength lies, in the formation of its characters, their psychologies, their ideologies, their viewpoints on the world and society. Not necessarily in the strength of the plot or how things... evolve after Soul Society.
Right.
I like the Aranka arc, I like the Fullbring arc, but I'll admit, obviously, from a storytelling perspective, they're not great. Blood was some shit in the ground. But I think for the most part, Bleach really succeeds at forming characters, forming their psychologies, forming their ideologies, and convincing you these are real people in this world and not just chess pieces for the protagonist to just move around and get everything done really well. I really like Bleach's characters, and I think Aizen is, at least to me, I know not everyone would agree, I think Aizen is the peak of that. And I don't think I think that was done on purpose. I think Kubo put a lot more into Aizen than he did into his other antagonists, other than maybe Ulquiorra and Gin. I don't think Ginjo or Yuhavaha come anywhere near close to Aizen. Yuhavaha is...
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm just like, Yuhavaha some meh. I'm not a big fan of Yuhavaha.
Yeah, I've heard from everyone about that. I didn't even think to talk about Ulquiorra, but he certainly look-wise fits.
Ulquiorra is an amazing character, man. That character's writing is absolutely
one
amazing.
Of my favorite fights in Shonen, for multiple reasons. It's made my top 4, so.
But yes, back to the Tricksters. Next
Yes,
Trickster
sir.
on my list is, well, you were talking about Persona, so I thought it's only good to go on about my anime video game, Danganronpa. And we're going to go with the GOAT, Kokichi Oma. Kokichi Oma, like Aizen, I'd say even more so than Aizen, is the walking definition of a lie. He even has the, it's a lie, that everyone loves. That scene is, Kokichi just, I could go on and on and on and on about Kokichi. That man's lies, the formation of that psychology and ideology and the view of the world and even the concepts of truth and lies and tricking and deceit and everything about Kokichi. Everything down to the microscopic details within his psychology, even his design, his outlook. That character is absolutely amazing. Throughout the entire story, you're led to believe Kokichi is just this go-lucky fuckhead. You think he's just this... He's a dick. He just wants to insult people, make juts at people, and just push things along for his entertainment. But the more and more you go along, you realize how in tune this kid is with his mask, the mask that he presents to the world, and the definition of the lie itself. Even pointing out flaws in people's flaws with the concepts of truth and lies in general. And then it all comes to a head when you finally see at the end of that chapter 5, when you finally see his true psychology for the first time ever show itself. Some people argue that that wasn't necessarily real. You could make the argument even then, but I believe that is the one time Kokichi was truly genuine in his life. And you get to see every mask come crashing down, and you get to see the pure, genuine-hearted person behind everything that this person has presented to the world. Case 5 of Danganronpa V3 is an immaculate case, absolutely amazing. Kokichi even is the only character in Danganronpa. He is so much of a lie that he deceives the mechanics of the game itself. They may seem just some out-of-this-world, 4D experience kind of shit, but that is big. That is genuinely big and works so perfectly with the ideology and psychology of this character. I could go on about everything. Kokichi's lies, his tricks, tricking the protagonists, tricking Shuichi, and Kaede, and Kaito, and Maki, and Gonta. Kokichi is absolutely immaculate. And when it comes to just being a trickster, I'd say he's potentially the greatest trickster that I've seen in any anime-related fiction. Again, so someone's probably going to ask why game characters in here and an anime list. Our argument was if they've been in an anime or manga, we'll count them in here. Danganronpa V3 has had a manga. Persona 5's had an anime, even if it's garbage. We'll count them and we'll judge them based on different canon. Just like someone would judge an anime character based on what they've done in the manga, we're judging an anime character based on what they did in the video game. It's just a difference in source material. At the end of the day, it's one source material gets turned into an anime. Exact same thing.
Right.
But we've not heard from Crimson. We've not heard Crimson in a while. Crimson, hit us with your next trickster. Hit us with your next trickster.
All right. I have to bring him up because I can't believe I pushed him to the side of the back of my head. I have to bring up Vector from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal.
Ayo.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
That's a great one, actually.
That's a good one.
I got to bring him up because he blew my fucking mind when he because like a little minor recap like Vector has been, it's not like he just showed up out of nowhere. He's been there since the beginning of the series. Like when he manipulated the events with Dr. Faker and Tron, and he even fucking took control of Dr. Faker's body so he can duel Yuma, Kite, and Shark. So I'm just like, okay. Later on, we even know like who Vector was. He just called himself Barian. Like, okay, Barian, Hetty. Like, I'm just like, bro, like, what are you talking about? All right. So fast forward a bit. When Yuma and Astro were doing Vector for like the third time, they end up like he ended up revealing that he was actually Ray, he was actually Ray the entire time. And then Yuma was so surprised at the fact, like, no, that's not true. You can't be Ray. Like, what do you mean you're Ray? It's like, dude, like, I have the body right here. But as a matter of fact, like,
it seemed more than just why he's like, oh yeah. But then how would I know about those cards on your deck that I gave you?
I was gonna get to that. But it's like, not only that, like, how can you tell me that you're Ray? Like, bro, I'm the one that gave you the cards that's in your deck right now. Which Astro was like, what? Yuma, what's he talking about? Like, yeah, Astro, he was hanging around a Barry this entire time, and you didn't even know.
Yeah.
Funny shit.
Yeah, and then the whole thing of that reveal was so that like Vector can break Yuma and Ashel's like bond and trust with each other, which it worked to an extent.
Hey,
So
he said it.
he got defeated in the end thanks to the power of Zexel. But that wouldn't be the last time you see Vector. Like later on, like what was the when he was searching for the other numbers? Yeah, he even had like help from number 96 out of all people. I'm just like, are you serious? Not only that, but like he's distrustful. He's distrustful to the where like the guy would literally use dirty tricks to manipulate duels. Like how I know this because like his third time dueling Yuma, he literally had a field spell that'll deal damage if Yuma like have an Xyz monster on the field, or no, if he summons Xyz monster on the field. It's either one of the two. I forgot what like the actual effect it was. So that's an example of like that's another example of him like tricking people as it is, because like no one knew that the whole field they're wrong was just a field spell waiting to be activated. So pretty much he had that victory set. Not only that, but in the same duel, before Zexel made another appearance, Vector had a trap card that will allow him to deal effect damage to any Barian card that's in their opponent's hand. So he pretty much had this card set up just to get rid of Yuma. So like so at this point you're thinking like he has his plan set up. He's ready. Like, it's like he like everything set up from the very beginning, and it's like he was ready to take down Yuma once and for all. But unfortunately, he failed thanks to the power of cheating and plot armor. Yeah, man. It's just the power of Zexel to literally change the card in the freaking hand, which you should not do or cannot do. Later on, let's say going forward a bit. Later on, like Vector, he still making himself relevant to the story. Like he went ahead and tried to like get Don Thousand's power. He revived him and stuff.
I also want to talk about Vector for a second.
Go ahead.
He was just so great having him as a wildcard series, screwing over both sides.
Yeah.
Like after Leto lost, he just like beat him down and then helped Yuma beat Grog. And then the final arc, just trapping Nash and forcing him to watch his friends die.
Yeah,
exactly. That was brutal, and he was getting away with it too. And then I'm gonna kill your friends. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, he even screwed over God. He's like, "No, Don Thousand, I'm gonna steal your power for myself."
Exactly. He literally absorbed him until like. When he was about to get absorbed and Yuma was finna save him, he was like, "Yes, Yuma, come with me."
Yeah, I was just about to talk about that. Yeah.
That sounds like some Zexel Dojin shit, bro.
Bro,
I like how he was just super trolly. Like I remember when Yuma was, I think I could be mistaken, but Yuma was always a very happy-go-lucky character throughout Zexel.
He is,
and I think he was angriest. Not when he was fighting Don Thousand or Tron or Dr. Faker. I think he was angriest when he was fighting Vector, because I remember he reveals himself like, "Oh, I'm Vector," and then he even he mocks him or mimics his voice he had as Ray. And he was like, "Oh, I'm your friend," and then he's like, "You're an idiot," and then continues the duel. I like how he also tried.
He's like, "I can't believe you actually fell for that."
And of course, he has a long history with Nash.
But he also had like his like failed trickery where he's like, "Oh, I've got my memories back. I'm doing good now."
Right. I was just about to say that during the Nash duel.
I remember it's like Nash has had a blank face on his face the whole time. He's like, "Is this guy really trying this?"
Yeah. Which I thought was good. It was also, I just like that he tried it. Like, "I've been used by Don Thousand. I remember now. I'm sorry, Nash."
Like you like out of all Yu-Gi-Oh villains that like share something like that with like Vector, like okay, it's like because like Vector to me also like counts as a psycho villain. So like you would think like okay, Merrick, or Bakura, or freaking. So I would say like who else I think about? What's one the
I guess you're on there for Psychotic Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spectre. Yeah.
They have those
funny faces and demeanors. They're very villainous, but they're also
you forgot Kiryu. Kiryu.
Who was he again?
Callan.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Tell me
The
because I
more
remember the Japanese name.
Yeah, the more sadistic villains. I
Yeah.
typically do like those quite a bit.
It just,
Oh,
it
same.
just
add
the thing,
they add some flair. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
nice
just
to
the
have.
thing with. Oh my bad, you still going Forte?
No, you're good.
Yeah, I mean keep cutting you off. But I was going to say like the thing with the difference between Vector and all the other Yu-Gi-Oh villains. Like the thing with him is that he actually fooled. Correct me if I'm wrong now. He actually fooled the main protagonist to the point like on a point like of a mental and spiritual level to a point like when Yuma Astro's finna go Zexel and like he he literally like forces the Zexel form like not out of them, but he separated Yuma Astro so they couldn't even use Zexel anymore. That shit right there kind of like hit me because like Yuma didn't believe what Vector was saying, so they was like, you know what, screw this Astro, let's go Zexel right now.
Yeah.
So their form was incomplete.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I should say
No,
like their form was incomplete to where you can see that like an energy form of Zexel. So like yeah, it was incomplete because Astro's trust in Yuma was broken because like he didn't tell Astro that he was with Vector, or try to say a Barian out of all people, and then the fact that Vector got away with that.
The Barian police.
Yeah, you're right. The Barian police. And then, that's the thing. He got away with it.
Yeah.
And I can't say every other villain in Yu-Gi-Oh! That I'm aware of got away with that. To the point that they hurt the main character to that extent.
The only villain I could think of in Yu-Gi-Oh would be Season 3 Yubel, because Season 3 Yubel really kind of screwed up Judai in Season 3. That's the only one I could see as close, and obviously Yubel's role.
I'd say Kiryu.
but-
Kiryu defeating Yusei had an impact on Yusei quite a bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like-
It's just that Judai literally became someone else.
I know.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah,
But,
Yusei.
no, yeah, Kiryu's a good example.
Right, but
too.
another
I'd say
thing,
Victor,
like,
Kiryu and
I understand like every.
You were saying,
I
Grim?
say, like,
Okay.
oh, like I was saying, like, I get it. Like every Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist has like their own mental struggle, and it's been shown throughout the entire series except for 7. So we don't talk about that. Yugi went through one, like Judai went through one. I almost called him Jaden. I really wanted to though. Yusei been through one. Yuma went through a few. Actually, no, Yuya. Other than Judai, Yuya went through a lot of mental stress.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh hell yeah, he
One
did.
pretended to be a kid. That screwed them up. They really thought she was one of their friends at the school, but she was actually an adult. That's really scary. That's real life. That's
Bruh.
real life right here.
Bruh.
That's scary as heck.
Bro.
yeah, bro, we don't talk about that.
That's the scariest one to me. That could happen in real life. I'm like, whoa.
But yeah, like I was saying, like other than Judai, like Yuya went through the most mental stress.
Oh,
throughout
yeah,
his
for
time
sure.
in Arc 5.
For sure.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I
And
can
like the
definitely
only
see that.
one that I can like see like relate, not relate, that has the same energy as Vector is Yuri, because like
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Yuri, I think this is a good segue for my number 4, Yuri from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5!
perfect timing, am I right?
I know, right? Yuri from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. Arc 5, not the best show ever. Disappointed a lot of us. We've talked in hours and hours and hours about this show. But Yuri, I'm glad everyone here, I know not everyone we know agrees, but for all 3 of us, I think we all really like Yuri. Yuri is...
I'm going to say not Yuri from Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Let's get that clear.
Yuri from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. I think we all like Yuri. Yuri wasn't anything deep or divine, but he was fun. He was sadistic. He knew how to own a scene. He had this swagger and this energy to him. That scene, I will never forget the scene with Asuka when he was about to lose. Well, lose in quotation marks. Oh, I suck, bro. I'm so trash. And then it's like, what's good? I activate super polymerization. It's like, hey, yo!
That's what I want to troll moments. I just remember the beginning of it is like, wait, hold on a second, I need to actually read my cards.
That was I was about to say that too. That was hilarious. Yuri versus Asuka is one of those trolley duels in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yuri.
It really was.
There's like this scene with you, like during the Yuya versus the Bracelet Girls duel. You see Yuri versus Sora a bit. They go in on that, And that scene of like Yuri activating the polymerization, bro, that scene still gives me chills. You have him with this adorable little smile going, I activate the spell card. Polymerization! And then it's like, hey, yo, he's about to fucking rip this kid's asshole open.
He over here trying to be innocent, but in actuality, he was like,
Yuri versus Yuya, that was a great sadistic duel. Yuri versus Yusho, that was a great sadistic duel. Yuri versus those GX scrubs. Yuri fucking with Yugo.
Oh, yeah.
Yusho, also a great trickster.
Everything. Yuri is just... Yusho is also... Yusho is another good trickster from that show. But Yuri just knew how to own a scene. That kid had swagger. He had good vibes. He just knew how to own a duel, a scene. He knew how to make himself the most important person in a room, and he ran with that shit. Yuri was the most entertaining part of Arc 5. His redemption wasn't that good, but
Yeah.
he was such a cool guy, man. He was such a cool character.
Pulls out a deck, ancient gear deck, and he's like, "Oh, this deck will do. Let me, like you said, let me read my cards. All right."
I summoned this, and then he's like, bro, I use this deck all the time. I'm gonna fucking destroy you.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. JK, you're dead." Okay.
That scene was
very cool.
God. I love Yuri.
Dragon is this effect too? Cool, I didn't know that.
Yuri is just so fun. Yuri is just so fun.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah,
Yuri is just fun, man. Yuri was just fun. But I've been through 4. Krim's been through 4. Forte, you've been through 4? 4 now? 3 or 4?
I think I've been through 3 looking at my list.
So
yeah, I think I've been through 3. Maybe.
So
think
who
I've
wants to
actually only done 2.
you've done Akechi and you've done the Devil.
The Devil. The Devil.
So we'll go with Forte then. Who's your third and hopefully, who's your third person, Forte?
I guess I'll just go ahead and bring up Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter.
He's in the thumbnail.
Swing.
I better go ahead and mention. I didn't want to start out with Hisoka. I thought I'd start out with some other ones, and then I wanted to piggy Akechi off of obviously Aizen. Felt that was a good spot.
Fair enough.
But Hisoka, literally a clown, right?
Ghetto clown, bro.
Kind of like Kokichi, his character is being a trickster. I wouldn't necessarily say that Hisoka lies a lot. He does deceive quite a bit. He picks different factions and sides to side with at the time, but he's constantly looking out for number one, which is Hisoka. And Hisoka's main goal is literally to fight strong people. That, as far as I know from the anime. Now, I haven't read the manga. I know there's a great fight in there. I haven't gotten to it yet. But I know Hisoka's main goal is to fight people at their strongest. He really wants to fight Crollo Lucifer, which also has the devil in his name. Very cool anime. But he wants to fight Crollo Lucifer, and he also wants to fight Gon after he's ripe. Hence a lot of the more interesting memes about Hisoka and his climactic approaches towards Gon. But
yeah, for
at
sure.
the end of the day, Hisoka's a very interesting character in Hunter x Hunter because, as I said, he never actually has any stakes in any of the major events in Hunter x Hunter, in my opinion. He doesn't have any true stakes because he never sides really with anyone. He's only there to have a good time. He very much just wants an interesting battle. He very much just wants to fight strong people, and he does whatever it takes to get what he wants. And he's present in almost every arc to a certain extent, but he's always there as this wild card. He really reminds me of Frieza from the Tournament of Power. To a lesser extent, Frieza obviously had larger stakes in the Tournament of Power because he was going to get his life back, and also, who wants to get your universe obliterated, right? It's hard to rule a universe if it's not there. But the cool thing about Hisoka is he's really just in it for the ride, and he does very trollish-like things. He'll side with one side and then immediately deviate to the other side just to go back to the other side again. He literally just plays it by the wind. He looks for his his motivations first, and he's willing to pick whatever sides gives him that win. And he also likes to troll his opponents quite a bit. He usually doesn't use his full power, and he ends up killing people in like funny ways. I won't spoil it too much because obviously I want Sam to watch Hunter x Hunter because I think it's great. Has one of my favorite fights in Shonen. Doesn't involve Hisoka, but still.
Netero versus Medoem.
Yes, I love that fight. It's one of my. I think I said it was my favorite. I think it is my favorite fight in Shonen. I love that fight for many reasons other than the fight. But back to Hisoka, he's just the ultimate trickster character. I mean, it's literally his name, or not his name. It's literally a part of his character. He's literally a clown. You know, his nin has the properties of both rubber and gum. Very cool. His bungee gum abilities. Yeah, a very very cool character. Very nuanced character that just is always a wild card in the series, and he does very unexpected things. He plays tricks on people. Huge meme lord. Always in it for himself. Definitely a top tier character from Hunter x Hunter. He's not my favorite character, but he's like top 3 easily. So.
Alrighty then. Since you missed out on your 4th one, let's hear Matt. You have to do your 4th one, right?
Well, actually, Vector and Hisoka were both on my list, so oh well.
This is why we should have done it earlier and not done overlaps. This is what we were talking about. Do you have anyone else that you want to talk about, Matt? We've not heard from you in a bit.
Gengar, I mean, Matt can probably add on to Hisoka. Yeah.
You got no one else, Matt?
Yeah, I'll come back to me later, I'm thinking.
Okay then. Forte, do you want to take on another one?
Oh yeah, I can do Shu Tsukiyama from Tokyo Ghoul. This character I do think is the ultimate trickster character from what I've seen of Tokyo Ghoul. There's another character, I believe his name is actually Juzo? Don't quote me, but he's a very sadistic character who's on the quote-unquote...
Junko Enoshima.
Right. I don't think his name is Junko. I think it may be Juzo. I didn't watch Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah, I think it's
Juzo, yeah. I didn't watch Tokyo Ghoul that much after the blunder that was Ri and Rude and all that stuff. But Shu Tsukiyama, other than being a huge meme, it's very similar to Hisoka, except for this man's whole motivation is to have the perfect meal. Like, he's just in it to have the best meal. Shokugeki no Tokyo Ghoul, right? So the cool thing about him is he has this whole scene where he is just preparing Kaneki so he can eat him. And he has this elaborate plan where he's going to have Kaneki eat someone else, and then he's going to eat Kaneki for the ultimate divine dish. And he's the ultimate trickster because he sets up this whole, scenario where he's going to eat Kaneki and he's going to have the perfect meal out of Kaneki's body. That's his whole character. I won't act like he's super deep or anything. But the main thing that makes him so interesting is he has this whole scene that was going around YouTube and super memed where he's sniffing Kaneki's blood and he reaches basically climax, for lack of a better word. I mean, he starts speaking in French and English and Japanese. He just goes through like every language just sniffing this dude's blood. He's like, I can't
look. He took a good whiff on some muy bien.
Bruh.
After his defeat, after his initial defeat, he actually comes back to help Kaneki, and we're like, oh wow, thank you. And he's like, oh yeah, it's no problem, Kaneki. I'm here to help. And then in the background, he's still like, I can't wait to eat this guy, and he's just climaxing. He's just like, I can't wait to have the perfect
familiar.
Yeah, this guy's whole character is to have the perfect meal, and apparently that's Kaneki Ken, which that makes sense because of the way he becomes a ghoul. I guess I think that's part of why his blood smells so great, but I won't go down that road too much. Of course, later Kaneki becomes OP as heck, so I don't know how he's going to eat him. But he, even after coming back and pretending to be on their side, he's still like, I can't wait to eat this guy. It's just hilarious to me. So I thought I'd put him on this list. Tokyo Ghoul is not fantastic of an anime. The first season I thought was pretty well done. After then, it just completely falls off. I think everyone knows that. But Shu definitely is the trickster character from Tokyo Ghoul for me, and I think he's hilarious, and he adds that pizzazz to the show. Not very relevant, but I just like the way they introduced him. I think his VA did a very great job with him. So that was my trickster from Tokyo Ghoul.
So Matt, do you have your trickster yet?
I just choosing between a few. I think I'm gonna go with Sogo Okita from Gintama.
Hey.
Now, Gintama can't just go on here because due nature so economy, a lot of them have done tricks over time. But Sogo, you see it doing it the most as he constantly tries to sabotage Hijikata, get him fired, or kill him. Like, one time he set up a whole elaborate Saw game where they were both captured just to screw him over. And then, in one of those serious arcs, you actually see a deep reason behind it as devotion to a certain character that it just made it better.
Fair enough.
Yeah. That makes sense. It makes sense Gintama would have some trickster-like characters.
I really want to Gintama, man. It looks like my type of thing.
Trickster to a certain degree. I haven't seen much of Gintama, but
Looks like my type of show.
yeah.
So we've all now done 4, right? Have we all done 4? We've all done 4. So
I only have one more on my list.
we only have one more each, and we've got about 20 minutes left, so that'll be a good time to get through it all. My fifth character. Oh, go ahead.
So I guess might be done.
You're done with yours, Matt? You got no one else?
All right. Yeah. No. Look. Well, my original 5 were done because Hisoka and Vector were taken. But okay, let's. Yeah, I'll think of someone else.
Okay, I'll take it from there. I'm going to go with my 5th is a very unconventional character and not one that I think many would mark as a trickster. But I'm going to put him on here because I think he did enough things to trick both the audience's expectations and the characters in the story. Kiritsugu Emiya from Fate Zero. My second favorite anime protagonist. Kiritsugu is a very, very interesting character. So much so that even the voice actor who played him in the dub, Matthew Mercer, has gone on saying this is his favorite role in anime and the role that's changed him the most, just because of how bizarre and out there Kiritsugu is. Kiritsugu is obviously a very broken man, a very, very broken man who, because of the things that happened in his past and the things that happened within the story of Fate Zero, has lost what we would call human standard. He's lost that standard of not to do these certain things out of honor or anything. He's abandoned all those concepts and thinks that's childish, foolish, and are going to lead people to their deaths. So Kiritsugu doesn't stop at any form of a standard for the actions that he performs and the ways that he performs the deaths and murders that he does. One of the most well-known and probably the most where you get to see that trickster side of him on display is when he kills Kenneth Elmalloy Archibald. Obviously, up to this point, this is right after the battle for Casta, the battle against Casta, Gilles de Rais, where all the servants, Diarmid, Iskandar, Gilgamesh, Artoria, all of them have united together to fight against Gilles de Rais. And at this time, Kiritsugu, when Artoria and Diarmid first met each other, Diarmid placed a curse on Artoria's arm, which essentially cut her powers in half, essentially cut her powers off. And then during that fight, Kiritsugu convinced Diarmid through a manner of ways to release that curse on Artoria's arm so she could fight and deal the final blow on Casta. Because Diarmid and Artoria had formed this respect for each other as noble warriors and those who served a noble path. So Kiritsugu, the following episode, in an attempt to finally kill Diarmid, or Lancer's master, if you didn't know, that's Lancer. Lancer's master thinks of this out-of-this-world scheme. This really fucking gritty, really oh-shit scheme. Where he convinces Kenneth to sign a contract, to sign a geese, that forbids Kiritsugu or any of the Emiya family to take that forbids Kiritsugu to kill anyone from Kenneth or the Archibald family. He signs it, but the stipulation of this geas is that Kenneth now must command his servant to commit suicide. So after Kenneth convinces Diarmid, Lancer, to commit suicide, and Lancer curses them all as he goes to his grave, Kenneth is there thanking and happy that he's going to live, and you just see the bullet go through his head. And then you see him on the ground. He's like, "What? We had a geas." And then Kiritsugu just casually goes, "I said that I wouldn't kill you." And it's revealed that Kiritsugu had gotten his assistant Maya to make the final blow. I love Maya. I love Kiritsugu. And this goes off the fact, I watched Nux's video and I didn't even realize this. Did you guys know that the whole thing about Artoria not being able to use Excalibur with one hand was a complete, utter lie? Did you know?
No.
Did you know that is a lie? In multiple adaptations of the Fate Stay Night series, we know that Artoria can use one hand to unleash Excalibur. It may not be as strong, but it is still very much able to be used. So Kiritsugu's plan, the entire plan, from start to finish, was to get Diarmid to release the curse on Saber's arm to give her all her powers back. He then convinced Iskandar to use his second form, or the second usage, of his Ionian Hetairoi, of which he only had 3 uses. He defeated Caster by combining an alliance with all 4 of the current servants to the point where they had a mutual respect for each other, specifically between Lancer and Saber. And got through all of this without revealing his identity, his name, anything about him as a person.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is never told to the viewer. They never, ever, ever mention this. And that is how good of a trickster Kiritsugu is. Kiritsugu fools both the audience and the characters in the show with this maniacal plan that isn't really big or, like, as Nux put it perfectly, characters like Lelouch or Light, they're very smart, undeniably. But a lot of Code Geass and Death Note, respectively, are spent convincing you and telling you and showing you how smart these characters are. When you watch Code Geass, you know Lelouch is smart. When you watch Death Note, you know Light Yagami is the most brainy boy in the room. They don't ever stop telling you. With a character like Kiritsugu, they never ever go on or harp on about his intellect. They purely show it. They purely show his intellect and his tricking ability and his, well, downright standardless way of killing. And it is such...
I remember...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, you're good. Finish your point. I was just going to comment on something.
I'm just saying, it's such an underappreciated aspect of that character, and Kiritsugu is just a phenomenal character. Second favorite anime protagonist behind Lelouch from Code Geass for me. Kiritsugu is the perfect physical manifestation of the whole not idealistic, but the whole ends justify the means mindset, that whole utilitarianistic mindset, and how he's able to form these plans and tricks without even revealing them to the viewer. Not even the characters in the story, without even the viewer being fully aware of them. Just is such a good trickster, and someone I could not leave off this list.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't even think... Kiritsugu, as you know, is my favorite protagonist of all time, but I didn't even think of him as a trickster. I was obviously thinking more like creepy and all that stuff, but yeah, he's a very good trickster, and one of the things that I really liked about him, as you said, is Fate Zero and the Fate franchise, even beyond Fate Zero, never tells you how great Kiritsugu is or how smart he is. Actually, they spend the whole time alluding to him being an underdog, which at the end of the day, he's very clever, but they spend this entire franchise saying, well, he's not a mage, he's not very good at magic, and he's often viewed upon by others as an underdog until he subverts everyone's expectations and rises above and finds these very clever tricks and very utilitarianistic and oftentimes, as a lot of characters, including Artoria, call unhonorable or non-honorable.
Dishonorable.
Dishonorable. Yes, that's it. These dishonorable ways to outwit his opponent and to ultimately win and defeat. Because at the end of the day, for Kiritsugu, it's all about winning. It's all about his.
He's like Lelouch in that aspect. Both are very utilitarianistic characters, and I enjoy that mindset quite a lot.
But they tell you Lelouch is great. They start out the first episode, he's like, I'm a chess god. But with Kiritsugu, they constantly tell you, well, he's not a mage. Even in UBW, well, I guess it depends on what order you watch Fate, and there's a lot of...
and Unlimited Blade Works, that they don't even tell you he was part of the Grail War. They never mention it.
Right, but they always tell you that, oh, he wasn't a mage, he wasn't that great. And it's like, but no, he was a goat. But they always just give you this impression that Kiritsugu was always the underdog in the fight for the Grail War. When in reality, he was
the most prepared.
Yeah, he was the most prepared. Kiritsugu's not only very clever, but he was ultimate prep time, is what I'll call it. He would plan just like in chess, as they did with Lelouch. He was always 4 moves or 5 moves ahead of every opponent, and it was just great to watch. But yeah, that's all I was going to say. I was just going to go off your points about how Kiritsugu was often considered an underdog in every fight, but how great he was and how he was able to rise above everyone's expectations, albeit in ways that most people didn't agree with in the series. But it was fantastic to watch.
So who's going to follow off me next? Let's go to Crimson.
Yeah,
I was thinking of the between Haruko Haruno from Fully Cooley or Yuno Gasai, and we all know we hate me or Nikki with a passion.
Bro, if you talk about Yuno Gasai in a positive light on my podcast, you're never allowed on again. You're never allowed on again. You're never allowed on again. Bro, Yuno Gasai, she'd be on the list of the top 10 worst characters in fiction. Fuck that bitch.
She'd be on my list of I don't understand fetishes.
Yep.
I don't get it. If she can kill me, that's pretty hot. Like what?
What?
What
I mean,
is
I like a woman who can kick my ass, but kill me? Bro.
I want to live. No, it's up to you. It's up to you. Do your thing.
But
man.
I'm thinking of Haruko Haruna from Fully Cooley.
Yeah, go on about a good show.
This is I don't know if we've all seen Fully Cooley. Like this is a very classic.
It's probably the next show I'm going to watch after we're done with
I'm not spoiled.
Yeah.
Say I'm not gonna go like too spoiler heavy into this character. I like to say with Haruko, she is one of the most trippy characters I've ever seen in my life. But what makes her trickster is basically like her goal she has in mind. Like we don't know what this goal is. We don't even know what her motivation is. All we know, she is here to cause the main character, whose name I forgot for some reason. She is here to make his life hell. So she makes a great introduction where she comes in on her fucking scooter cycle. Yes, I'm calling it that. She comes in on her scooter cycle and literally just whacks the main character's head with a guitar numerous times until like a giant knot appears on his head. So then like later, like you see her like appearing everywhere he would tend to go, at his house, at his school, or just like pretending to like be like somebody she's not, like a nurse, or just stuff like that. You even have like pretty much just like even officials, like legal officials, to like go after like police officers and them. It's just like she will fit into the mysterious category, but at the same time, like she's still pretty. She still fits in the trickster category as well, to where like you will really want to question if you should be around her or not, because she really gives off that energy and that presence of like she's gonna like say you go outside, right, and then you don't know what's gonna happen. Next thing you know, you step on some pie, and you be like, where does pie come from? And next thing you know, she's around the corner just giggling and laughing. And then like whatever you do, yeah, I have to say, yeah. So whatever happens to you is because of her. Because like again, you could go outside and just have a normal day. Next thing you know, somebody's just yelling at you, and then next thing you know, you see her around the corner just giggling. Yep, exactly. And again, I'm still like trying to like keep stuff about Haruko sport like spoiler free, because again, like Sam here, he hasn't seen it, so I'm pretty much just giving you like some snippets. So like what to expect from Haruko. So this is like a post Gainax, to where like this is like before you like you get all the shit from Evangelion. Like when you watch this show, it's trippy as hell, but at the same time it's fun to watch. And Haruko is one of those characters that's the fun to watch. Like her crazy antics, it makes you say WTF a lot. That's all I can say. Like with Haru, like with Haru Suzumiya, for example, like whatever she does, it always make you raise an eyebrow like The Rock, and also say WTF numerous times, or WTF, bro, why is she like this?
She's also very flirtatious and kind of teases the.
She really is.
Yeah, which I mean, this is more of her being not so much a trickster as just being sort of a tease.
Yeah, it's just one of her traits.
Yeah, it's just one of her kind of characteristics. But she's definitely a very tricky character, and it's hard to gauge what she's really after a lot of the time. Obviously, I can't spoil Fully Cooley. It's an interesting plot, to say the least. But yeah, definitely a very interesting trickster, I'd say.
So who's going to take the next trickster, Matt?
For trickster, let's see here. I feel like we talked about Bleach enough, but Shunsui Kyoryu.
Hey, Shunsui? Yeah, I know we talked a lot about Bleach, but Shunsui's a good trickster. That is a good, underrated trickster.
I also love his line where it's like, battle isn't about, like, honor or any of that.
It's just about victory.
In war, everyone's evil.
Yeah, and war, both sides are evil.
Like, Zamba tells just children games and tricks, which he uses to win.
So that's a trickster for real.
And in the Blood War, bro, him and the 1,000-year Blood War with his Bankai, bro, Shunsui's Bankai. I don't want to spoil that shit for Forte, but that's my second favorite Bankai, if not my first.
Oh.
Man, that Bankai hit different.
That Bankai hit different, bro. That Katen Kyokutsu Karamatsu Shinju, bro. That shit is hype as shit.
I love the taste of that.
Shunsui, I'm actually glad someone brought him up. That is an underrated trickster character. Very rarely gets mentioned, but he is just the walking, talking definition of a trickster. Him and Kisuke both have that similar persona, where I think Kisuke could even be good as a trickster, where they both present this happy-go-lucky side to the audience, but down underneath they are utilitarianistic. They are very, very much focused on the tactical victory, and they don't hold things like standards or honor at any high regard. It's just battle. War is war. Both sides are evil. One just needs to win on any way possible. Love Shunsui.
It's funny. It's funny y'all even bring him up because like I'm not joking. Like today I was going to work. I was listening to the video on the way that they were just all about with this Kuryaku because like especially like around the 1,000-year Blood War when you talk to Ichibei, I was just like, and then I'm over here thinking to myself, how could I sit here and not think of this man, even though I just listen to him, like listen to a video about him today, which is mind-boggling to me.
That's and now for our last trickster. Go ahead. Sorry, I thought we...
No, I was saying it'd be like that though. The fact that like stuff like that happens, like when you think of like when you just hear a character's name and just listen to like for hours, the next thing you know, it doesn't come to mind until like someone breaks it up.
Fair enough. So Forte, Joshua, your last trickster of the podcast. Who are you going to end off with a bang with?
Okay, so my last trickster is Pride from FMAB.
Hey!
Obviously, Full Metal. Well, I guess that's not obvious, but Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is still. I go back and forth with the anime, what's my favorite and all that, but FMAB is for sure top 3, right? Fantastic series, and I loved Pride. I think he was one of my favorite homunculi, I should say. One of my favorite homunculi. And the great thing about Pride is once again, with a lot of these characters that I've mentioned, I love his duality. I brought him up as a trickster, and I thought he'd be perfect for this Halloween podcast because Pride is legitimately super creepy.
Yeah.
I watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood in the dub, and I love the way Salim, quote unquote Pride, was portrayed in that dub. He appears to be obviously a little kid, a child, and he has this very innocent demeanor, as most children do, and that's part of his duality. But in reality, he's a homunculus, and he's one of the creepier homunculus. I also had in my notes to mention Envy because obviously Envy's final form is super like gory and gross looking, but to me, Pride was even scarier because he was portrayed as this kid, and he's literally a shadow. I rewatched some scenes today because it's been a while since I've seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and the scene when he's talking to Hawkeye and he's telling her that I will always be watching you in the shadows was just super creepy. After he's kind of been toying with her, he pretends like I'm gonna kill you, but obviously she figures out that it's better for him to keep her as a hostage and to keep her as kind of a piece on the board, if you will, since we've been using chess metaphors. And just a legitimately creepy character. He's walking around in shadows. His final form is like these black shadows with huge mouths. When he eats I guess I'm not worried about spoilers too much with FMAB, at least in here, since it's older and we've all seen it. But when he eats Kimberly is a very creepy scene. Of course, it's also one of my favorite scenes because he let his pride get the best of him, as that really backfires for him in the end when he's fighting Edward. Also, as I mentioned, one of my creepier things that I find in anime is body snatching. And before Kimberly interferes, she's literally trying to flee within Edward's body and take him over. And that's just super creepy. Body snatching always is one of those things that I really, really like because it gives me this uneasiness. But as a trickster, I think he shows his true colors, or what should I say? He shows his best tricks as he's pretending to be this kid and be a part of the Bradley family and be super innocent while having this duality and this shadow, if you will, as being the first homunculus and being this very creepy and sadistic kind of character. And there's a lot of things, like I said, with eating Kimberly that he does that he didn't really have to do. He's just being super sadistic and obviously having a lot of pride. It's in the name of his sin, of course. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention him on this list since he comes from one of my favorite anime. And he was one of the characters when I was watching anime and from this list that I legitimately thought was creepy, a trickster, and I felt legitimate uneasiness with. Everyone else on my list, between Hisoka, Akechi, Shu, and even the Devil, despite his name from Black Clover, I didn't feel this uneasiness or this creepiness with. The Devil has a very creepy design, But I think on my list, Pride gave me the most uneasiness, and he was a true trickster. He was able to deceive a lot of the people around him. And towards the end, like many characters, he even deceived himself about how he felt about things. Actually, his end is somewhat tragic, I guess I'll say. But definitely a very creepy character, and the final trickster on my list. Very much enjoyed his character.
And I love Pride too, so that is an awesome way to end off. And we have reached the 1 hour 30 mark, so we are going to end this here. Forgive all the technical difficulties, forgive everything. This is our first time streaming. We hope to continue to stream them. But if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. We really would love the support. We're trying to grow. We're trying to get bigger. As we're going to fix up all these issues. We're going to knead out all those kinks. We're just going to keep pushing forward because it's something we're genuinely enjoying and genuinely having a good time with. Is there anything else you boys got to say? If there's anything else you guys got to say before we head out.
No, just happy Halloween.
Happy
If you
Halloween.
came to join us, thank you. Like we're planning to do this.
Or even
live.
if you
It's
watch
been a
this
lot of
later,
fun.
even if you do watch this later, thank you anyway.
Oh yes.
Love
Hope
every
you had
single
a
one of
happy
you.
Halloween.
Hope you had a
You watched
happy
it later.
Halloween.
Okay, my last words: Happy Halloween and watch Sinful Gear.
Die in a hole.
Alright.
Die.
Don't
Die.
listen to him. He's a liar.
No.
Oh,
I'm not a liar.
Crimson is the ultimate trickster. I had no idea.
Ah.
That's wrong.